Today I'll be showing you how you can turn your build from something that looks like this into something that looks like this, or even better, with a few couple easy steps. So today I'll be making this world's very first starter house, and I'll be showing you some tips on how you can do it yourself. So when you're starting off by making a house, you might as well consider these few steps. First on the list is a block palette. Now, what is a block palette? A block palette is basically the blocks that you'll be using into making the house. Now, when you're going about choosing a block palette, you must make sure that you choose blocks, well, colors that will go well with each other. Now, if you disregard choosing a proper block palette, your house might look like the Joker designed it, and you wouldn't want that. The next thing to consider when making a house is the idea. Now, you could either go to Google Images or you could look up YouTubers for this, but then just find something that inspires you to build a house and work with that. Now, the idea that I'm trying to go with here is a house that both accommodates, comfy stuff, and also has a mine entrance so that I can dig deep and get many resources. The next step on building better is the outline. Now, this defines the shape of your build, so you need to be careful when designing it. If you're a beginner, try starting out with just a simple square, and once you get a bit more comfortable, you can add more to the shape. My build is comprised of two shapes, which are actually just one shape, just extended. One's gonna accommodate for the rooms, while the other one's gonna be for the mine shaft. Wow, would you look at that? We're already at the second to last tip in helping you build better, the frame. Now, the frame is comprised of more little details and more little steps, but the main thing that you should worry about here is depth and also the blocks that you use, which was stated before in the block palette. Now, what is depth? You should just go search it up on Google. I just don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain if you don't know what depth is. But it's basically an illusion that can help you make your build much better. So try to incorporate some depth. Builds. Can't find the word that I'm looking for. But blocks that come in and go out. That's the trick to depth. Remember how I said that, oh, look, we're already at the second to last tip. We almost finished, aren't we? Never said that. But then either way, this is by far the longest, or should I say the most time consuming step in building the framework. So sit down, relax, get a cup of coffee, and enjoy the show while you listen to some oddly and questionable music made by yours truly while he continues to speak helpful but nonsensical advice. Honestly, I'm a bit perplexed about this because when I planned this video, I thought that I would have a lot to say and that the tips and advice would go on till the end of the video. But now that I look at it, damn, it's like that moment when you just don't know what to say to a chick, so you just quiet and hope it all goes well. So yeah, listen to some music and I don't know, enjoy yourself or something. Okay, so let's be on a serious note right now. These tips that I will show you on the screen right now are really important. So let me just explain a bit more about them because I just feel like this video is not really providing much value. It's just music and nonsensical speaking. So the block palette, as I spoke before, it's basically blocks that you'll use, right? But then now you need to be careful about it because if you choose blocks that don't go well with each other, like let's say copper and gold, it's just gonna look off. It's gonna look really weird, especially since copper ages like your mom. YouTube, don't ban me. But then either way, as I was saying, you must use blocks that really go well with each other. For example, oak and birch. You can use oak for walls and you can use birch for floors. Or you can mix in oak with a darker type of wood. So that was block palette. Basically, just choose blocks that go well with each other. Now, outline, as I said before, it's basically defining the shape of your build. Be careful with that because if you choose a shape that's a bit difficult, like a circle, if you're not used to building in a circular shape, it's gonna come out really weird. So, yeah, the shape that you choose, the outline that you choose, is something that you can handle. And if you can't or can't, you must practice. Practice makes perfect, after all. Now, framework is something that I love to hate, mostly because it takes such a long time to deal with. So basically, the thing about framework is that thing that I mentioned before that I couldn't mention before because I was speaking nonsense, which is depth. Depth is just a way of making your build pop in and out. So as you can see, what I did with the walls is they're how should I say this? One block behind the oak logs, which I made them to look like an actual framework. So that's a trick that you can use when designing your builds to give it more life so it doesn't look so flat like your mom. So that's all there is to the framework. You just need to pay attention to depth and also to the blocks that you use. So block palette might as well just play a huge role in this. So depth and blocks. So for the last and final step, which is the detail phase, skip ahead to 11 minutes 30 seconds and I'll explain more about it there. If you're wondering, the reason why I'm telling you to skip is because uh, from between now to 11 minutes 30 seconds, it'll strictly just be gameplay and music. I'll hardly be speaking, so yeah, give you the time of listening to questionable music while looking at questionable gaming. So far, an hour of my life that I'll probably never get back went by, and I finished the bottom base form of the framework and also the second, or should I say, second story of the framework. What do you think? Do you think I should burn it down? Do you think I should just retire? Do you think I should just jump into a bin? Okay, that sounds a bit awkward. Yeah, so 2 hours of my life went by, and I'm pretty much questioning my life reasoning here. I miscalculated the resources that I needed, so now I'm back in the trenches, digging up some stone and contemplating my life again. Why am I still doing this? And time for the most painful thing known to man, as in an actual man putting a roof on top of your head. Well, in this case, I mean actually building the roof, not having to move out your parents' house and living and fending for yourself in the hard streets of Gotham, Harlem, New York, whatever you call it, the hard streets, them streets. Now, when it comes to building a roof, there's a little trick that you can do to give it a better look. As you can see, there's a second step that I put right behind the first step to kind of give it a better look or a better feel and make it look a bit more thick and not awkward looking. So you remember the detailing step that I mentioned that I'll talk about? Well, with time and skill, you actually start applying that step before you even get to it. That step well, okay, now it defeats me. The stairs thing is actually a little tip that you get from detailing, from learning how to detail, along with depth. Depth is also another form of detail. Basically, detail is anything that makes your base look a bit cooler, a bit better, a bit more alive. And now another detail step that I'm going to apply here is going to be adding an extra layer of stairs, which is made of stone. And then on top of that, or should I say below it, I would end up putting a stone slab so it can look extra thick. If you know, you know. So after an extra 2 hours, I'm actually done with the frame. So what do you think? This time seriously, like, is the framework looking good, or could it still use some work? There's one thing I'd like to point out. The budget was quite low here, so yeah, only had basically a small variety of blocks to choose from. And now this brings us to the final step, which I've been waiting for, because this means I can actually take a rest. I mean, I've been working on this for about 3 days now. It's really annoying at this point. Is the detail phase. Now, I did kind of speak a little bit about detail, saying that, if you know, you know, but let me re explain. Now, the thing about detail, it's unnecessary, but if you do apply it to your build, it makes it look much, much better. Seeing as my build is one with the mine shaft, right now I'm busy working on giving it that rocky, stony look, so it looks a bit natural, as if someone put wood or built on top of a little cave, so I should say. Basically, detail is just adding little. Okay, now this point it's self-explanatory. Details, my guy. You just need to add a little bit of things that don't make sense, but make the build look more sensical. Don't know if that makes sense, but if you know, you know. Now at this point, I really don't know much about explaining how you should go about detailing, but let's just go back to depth. Now, depth is another form of detailing. What you can do to that depth is adding extra blocks to it. That way, it gives it more of a lively feel, so it doesn't look too much of a Minecraft house, if you understand what I mean. So it doesn't look too typical of a blocky house. At the time of this recording, it was already 12 p.m., and I was so determined to actually follow through with finishing recording this video before the end of the day. Unfortunately, I couldn't. The worst thing happened to me, which is something that happens pretty often at this point: load shedding. If you don't know what load shedding is, then be grateful, because it obviously doesn't happen to you. But where I am, I'm currently in a dark place, and I don't mean mentally. I just mean it's dark. There's no electricity. I'm in South Africa. Here's another quick tip on detailing. As you can see, if you look closely, I put different variants of stone. You have cobblestone, you have cracked tile stone, you have tile stone, you have tiles. Said that before. You have stone. Putting different versions of the same block gives it quite a nice detailed look. So you should really try it out and experiment, but be careful that you don't overly detail your build, or it's just gonna look a bit off. It's gonna be hard to look at if it's overly detailed. Now at this point, I wanted to make the mine shaft entrance look a bit more professional, but I realized at a certain point that this was a bit of a mistake, because I'm gonna take it all out at the point. And now at this point, I just want to flex, so I'm gonna put out some copper blocks here, you gotta have some drip, in a mine entrance. I'm gonna come back here and put some diamond blocks though. So in episode 3, I'll be getting full diamond armor. Honestly, I was a bit worried that I wouldn't be able to speak much because I kind of have some, how should I say this? Social anxieties. I don't know if that's an actual thing or it's just something they try to use on you so that you can buy some pills that don't actually even work. Yeah, so I guess the secret to actually speaking more and socializing more is just by speaking nonsense and things that doesn't make sense. Yeah, that's life. At this point, I really felt like quitting with this project because it took quite a long time and I wasn't feeling really motivated anymore. It felt more like I was forcing myself to do it. But then I just remembered back to my previous videos, which I made 2 years ago, when apparently I sounded like a little white girl. They know who they said that. And it just, when I look back to those videos, I shouldn't have quit because, I stayed longer and, things happened. But yeah, with this one, I managed to pull through and skipped a lot of things. So here's the final project, or should I say the draft, or should I say the final work. So apart from the bad commentating, what do you think of about the build? Like your honest opinion, is it a good build? Could it need some more work? I put quite a bit of time into detailing this, and honestly, I feel like I just feel like sleeping now because I spent way too much time on this. So go down into the comment section below and like just rate the build out of 1 to 10. And if you manage to get here without skipping to 11,3, I'm proud of you because damn,